D-Gens, what's going on, guys? What is going on? Good afternoon. All right, let's get right on into it here, guys. We got quite a show for you today. All right, so looking at the Jasmy chart, still holding above. Actually, let's refresh it just to make sure we're still holding above the 100-day SMA. That's where we want to see this candle close, guys. I'm starting to see the makings, the beginnings of possibly a bull flag happening here on the daily time frame, right? As we move in here, kind of looks like we're starting to form a little bit of a bull flag. Who knows? I mean, it might go a little bit wider, you know, whatever. Either way, up or down. But it's starting to look like, you know, we're forming a bull flag here on the daily time frame. If we jump over to the weekly, let's see what we got here. All right, so yeah, so I mean, like, we're gonna have a good close tomorrow from the looks of things. I mean, obviously, you know, barring anything terrible happening to the price action of it, we're gonna have, look at this green weekly candle here, man. We met resistance on the last weekly candle. We've broken above resistance here on the weekly time frame. Guys, this is bullish. This is a nice breakout of the falling wedge pattern on the weekly and on the daily, guys. So big things are coming. Listen, okay, this is going to be me in a few months cashing my Jasmy check.
So I was right. I took a rash of shit for 2 years, but I was right, and everyone was wrong.
That's me cashing my Jasmy check, boys. Let's go check out Bitcoin's chart, see what's going on. All right, so again, holding nicely, guys. Bitcoin is doing some nice daily closes here. As you can see, $76,397. $76,400. Very nice. As we continue, we still have, you know, I don't know, let's say 5 hours until the daily close. So we'll see how this closes, guys. But so far, it looks nice and juicy, in my opinion. Juicy. All right, so I think another break above. For me, as long as we continue to close above 75,600, that's very bullish. That's very bullish. So another one of these candles is coming, guys, in my opinion. Just a matter of being patient. Maybe next week. We'll see, right? Hopefully we have a nice uneventful weekend. But the market today, though, the market is definitely pulling itself up. Look at the green, guys. Miria taking a turn to the upside, back up 4.6%. A lot of misunderstanding with what happened with Miria, guys. So I'm going to boil it down as easily as I can for some people. So Miria got delisted from OKX, okay, a centralized exchange. We're still waiting for some big centralized exchange listings over on Miria, your Binances, your Kraken, stuff like that, which will come, I have no doubt, right? So in saying that, the reason that we had the sell-off for Miria was not because of panic, okay? It wasn't people abandoning the project. Because they don't have very many centralized listings, a lot of people that use OKX had no choice but to sell their OKX because they had nowhere to transfer it to, right? That was a big contributing factor to the Miria sell-off, all right? So it wasn't panic. It wasn't that people didn't want to hold it. It's that the exchange they held it on was delisting it and they had nowhere to transfer it to, okay? You don't have a choice but to sell it at that point, right? So that is another contributing factor. Swift is up 4%. Very nice. Mobile, guys. Mobile had an amazing run. Yesterday was up 30%. It's up another 13.7% today. Kaspa with a bounce. It's funny because someone asked me, I think yesterday on the live stream, if they should sell their Caspa, and I was like, hell to the no, you shouldn't sell your Caspa, in my opinion. And look at that rebound on Caspa. Very nice. XCN. Ethereum is over $3,000, guys. Things are looking good. Things are looking good. BTC, the volume on Jasmy, nice. It's over 100 million still. We're almost back up to $1 billion market cap. Things are looking good, guys. If we go to the broader market, only a couple. Look at Propy. Holy crap. Guys, when Propy was down here at 92 cents, I was telling you guys, Propy under $1, guys, pick it up. I'm telling you, it is a fantastic RWA project, up 169 spots today. 169. Propy is going to be inside the top 100, no doubt about it, in this bull run, guys. Propy's a fantastic pickup. Only a $97 million market cap, guys. That's it. 97 million. Not even $100 million market cap yet. This one's going to go into probably, I could see us going $3, $4, $5, $6 billion market cap on a project like Propy. Absolutely. Spell token, all you spell holders out there having a fantastic time as well. Went up pretty big. It's had a big month, actually. 35% up on the month. Trios having a little bit of a correction. I'm going to have to look into why that happened, but it's being corrected. Crow was up massively yesterday, so it's just kind of probably people taking profits, so it's down 9.6%. Casper, look at the rebound on Casper. Holy smokes. Look at that. After that massive dump on Casper, it's starting to climb back up, so that's good news. That's positive news for you Casper holders. And then a bunch of mixed bag stuff, right? Guys, turbo up a little bit. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking healthy. We had a little bit of a correction over the last day and a half or so. And now the market looks like it's ready for its next leg up. Absolutely phenomenal, guys. See what patience gets you, right? Patience gets you green candles. Chasing green candles gets you big red dildos, right? So when nobody likes big red dildos. So what I would say, guys, is that like people were asking me a lot over the last couple of days, why is Bitcoin running but my altcoins are not running? And like, guys, random altcoins are going to pump while Bitcoin does its thing. And then all altcoins are going to go nuts shortly after that. So just be patient, guys. Just be patient, right? All right. So listen, guys, Jasmy Detective says, Jasmy, the team are looking to hit 107 million users by the end of 2026, right? The My Number card in Japan is at 98.77 million people, right? That's approximately 78.8% of the Japanese population, according to Japan Times. So how do they get 107 million users? Well, clearly they had this mapped out all along, guys, because you're talking about wanting 107 million users on the PDL. Then you integrate the PDL into the My Number card. The My Number card has 98.77 million people using it. Well, you've just onboarded 98.77 million users to the PDL. That's a pretty big chunk of your 107 million user goal right there, right? And they're talking globally 107 million. That's almost the whole 107 million just in Japan, right? They're going to have way more than 107 million users onboarded to the PDL, guys. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy, right? And we got some Swift news, guys. Check this out. This is like a combination of Swift and Caspa good news all in one. Big news. Bridgers has integrated the Caspa network into the all-chain bridge. We're thrilled to announce that Caspa network is coming to Bridgers along with the exciting new KRC20 tokens. So they are listing, not only are they adding the Caspa network to the all-chain bridge, but they're listing all 5 of the KRC20 meme coins as well. So very bullish stuff. Swift and Caspa coming together. 2 of my favorite projects. You love to see it. You love to see it. Let's get into some more backlash from the election, shall we? Bill Maher.
I saw Kamala was on Saturday Night Live, as the losing candidate often is. It worked so well for Hillary. Let's run that back. And it just made me think, I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be. I remember when, and that happens even more on the left. And I remember when Elon Musk hosted, and this is well before he was a Trumper. This is 3 or 4 years. He was just the richest man in the world. And a number of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, like, they didn't want to deal with him. They didn't exactly boycott, but they made it plain. And I was thinking, really? You have Elon Musk on your show for a week. You could talk to one of the most interesting, brilliant people the world has ever produced, even about this issue that bothers you so much, that he's so rich and lots of people aren't. But no, you don't want to even deal with him. That's what I hate about the left. You're brats. You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
He's not wrong. That's the thing. He's not wrong. All right. What else do we got? Lark Davis says, we're about to enter the banana zone. Check it out, guys. Over here, we have 2011, 2012. Boom, banana zone. What do we got? 2014 to 2016 here. Boom, banana zone. 2019 to 2020. Boom, banana zone. Here we are, guys. Look at this. Here we are. Are you freaking ready? Are you freaking ready? He thinks we're hitting $300,000 of Bitcoin. Can you imagine if we do? Man, altcoins are going to go nuts. Altcoins are going to go nuts. Just requires patience, guys. Michael Saylor, how to 10x your money.
The best idea, if you want to make 10x your money, is you buy something that everybody in the world needs, nobody in the world can stop, and almost nobody understands.
Perfect.
Okay, so in 2010, that was Amazon, or that was Apple, or that was Facebook or Google. These are all dominant digital networks that everybody in the world needed, that nobody could stop. But if you'd ask the typical mainstream investor, is this a good investment? They would all say, oh, it's very scary. It's overvalued. Amazon doesn't make money. You know, mobile phones used to cost $50. You know, it's like Apple's going to sell an iPhone for $600. They said it's too expensive. The iPhone, $600 is too expensive. Nokia will sell me one for $30. They said Apple's going to go to $30. And of course, what happened is Apple went to $1,500. Yes. And so the conventional wisdom was against these big tech companies.
That's exactly it, guys. And that's the kind of narrative that people like myself and some other content creators have been trying to get across the finish line for a long, long time. So many people out there question their decision to invest in crypto and Bitcoin, and like, you know, because they've never been through a bull run. Is this actually going to happen? Is the bull run actually going to come? Guys, you got to have more conviction in that because it's coming, right? SEC commissioner and likely to be the next chair, Mark Ueda, says the commission's war on crypto must end. It's about time, Gary Gensler. See you later, guys. Just sit back for a second, and I really want you to hear what I'm about to say. Gary Gensler is getting removed from power in the SEC. How long have we been waiting for that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's see what Rect Capital has to say. In a few months' time, people will call us lucky. But deep down, we know we made our own luck. And that's another thing we've been saying here for how long, guys? People are going to go from laughing at you and ignoring you when you say, buy crypto. In the next, I don't know, in a few months, like Rec Capital says, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever, right? All of those people in your lives are going to start saying, oh, he got lucky, she got lucky, right? They're just lucky. They just happened to get lucky. That's all it was, right? Like you won the lottery or something, right? Like you didn't put in 2.5 years of bear market pain and doubt and suffering and red and DCAing. Like you didn't do any of that. You just got lucky. You just came along and, you know, plopped $100 into something and boom, now you're rich, right? But that's what people are going to start saying about you. So prepare for that now, right? Prepare for that to be the narrative around your name in your everyday life. Your coworkers, or hopefully soon your ex-coworkers, your friends, your family, they're going to say, oh man, you just got lucky. How'd you get so lucky? And then when you explain to them how you got lucky, then you know what they're going to say to you? Oh, if I give you money, can you invest it for me? Just put it into some projects and then give me the money, right? So make my money do what your money just did. That's the next step that they'll say. They'll try to get you to invest for them. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Make them learn about this themselves. Make them create their own wallets. Make them learn about self-custody. Make them put in the work that you put in to make the money that you made, right? All right, what else is going on? We got fun fact. Bitcoin is up 45% since Germany sold it at $50,000, costing them over $1.1 billion in potential profit. Oh, man. Talk about a mistake. Now, this is causing me to have a little bit of fear when it comes to Gala, guys. Not that I didn't have any before, but what I will say is that they're introducing a Gala film token. The token is that's redefining entertainment. So this for me is a problem because Gala film, Gala music, and Gala games was all under one token before. Then they did a migration. Now they're creating a second token. The ticker is film, F-I-L-M. This is a concern to me. I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive. I don't hold Gala anymore, but I think that this is a massive mistake. I don't know if they're trying to shift everybody over to this new token as opposed to their original Gala token or something, but this is a bad idea to divide your departments up like this, going from Gala games to Gala film. Are they going to release a third token, Gala music? And on top of that, I know that I had read to you guys about 4 months ago that Gala, the team for Gala, that was their Web3 gaming department or whatever, that they had left the project, right? So is this their way of stepping away from Gala games completely and abandoning the Gala token? I don't want to spread FUD and I don't want to create narratives, guys. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but what I'm saying is these are questions that needs to be answered, right? So I'm going to have to start doing some deep diving into this. I mean, I'll reach out to the Gala team and see what the implications are to this. Maybe I can get someone on the channel, but something tells me they're going to ignore me, right? I don't like this move personally. I don't like it. All right, what else do we got? I think it's safe to say Bitcoin is in high demand. Guys, just look at this chart for a second. Take it in, okay? Look at this from Bitwise. The Bitcoin ETF versus the gold ETF. Look at this. This right here is the gold, the little black one. That's the first year for the gold ETF. The first year. Look at the Bitcoin ETF. Are you kidding me, guys? Are you kidding me right now? That's crazy. That is crazy. All right, let's get into some videos, guys. Let's get into some videos. It's been revealed that the streamers played a massive role in Donald Trump winning the election. What are we talking about?
Sometimes, Dom, you just have to say we lost and we need to get better. MSNBC is hemorrhaging viewers.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I like the fact that you mentioned about the podcast, but I'd also like to mention the streamers. You see, the liberal, the left, they've typically had a great control on media because celebrities in the past, I would say about up to 2016, they held a significant amount of weight in culture in America. But we...
So streamers cause it. I can't play all of it because there's music in the background, but streamers played a big part because companies like CNN were not giving you the truth when it came to news, right? So people had to get their actual truth in their news from streamers. So shout out to everyone who is a content creator. Raoul Paul says, the law says Trump can't fire Powell. Well, the U.S. Constitution says the Fed should not exist at all.
Today's topic, Dr. Paul and I noticed that Fed Chair Powell was asked, if President Trump asks you to resign, will you? And he flat out says, no, I will not. The law says that the president can't fire me. And right away, my mind says, law says. Well, there's a higher law, the supreme law of the land, that everybody raises their right hand, they swear an oath to. It's called the U.S. Constitution. And that law never gave any authority to the federal government to create a monopoly central bank that can manipulate interest rates and counterfeit money. Counterfeiting is a crime. So the government created this bank that counterfeits. That's the law. The Fed should not exist according to the law. But Powell, he didn't mention any of this. And of all monopolies to give, this isn't a monopoly to create milkshakes for people. This is money. This is a part of every single transaction in our nation that they gave them a monopoly. It's astounding. So he's saying, no, the president, because of the law, can't fire me. That's not even the issue here. The issue is the existence of the Federal Reserve. And that, while that may not be addressed today, it will be someday. And we say the sooner the better. Is that right, Dr. Paul?
Absolutely. They're going to continue to mess around with that. But your point is perfect. And that is, how can they be so choosy? It's I can't do that under the law. So and your point is right. They're pointing out that the laws, the arbitrary laws that they write that do not follow the rules of the Constitution or natural law, it becomes the law because they've instituted. And the worst part about this is that they cling to that like it's a biblical message. I mean, it is ingrained in them because they don't for a minute think, oh, we have a little trick here. We're going to play on the people, because they've talked themselves into believing that the Constitution is dangerous if it's overly rigid. So here's a perfect example of this, where they arbitrarily pick what is legal and what is not. The constitutional restraint against a central bank, there's no authority for that, is one thing that they totally ignore.
Yeah, ultimately the Federal Reserve cares about its own survival, itself, and the biggest bank. It's the biggest banks. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's a cartel of the biggest banks that has a government privilege, which it should not have. So their ultimate priority is themselves, and this is wrong. Because everybody else, including us, is lower on the totem pole of their priorities. So this power should not exist. And as long as the Fed does exist, we can't have a genuinely free society, free economic life. It's impossible. You can't have a monopoly central bank. You need sound money for freedom. So, but people need to understand this. Not many do, more than ever, thanks to Dr. Paul. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and people can ultimately understand it. I mean, look what happened with the open border. People finally understood, we have to stop this, and they voted for it. So people can, over time, see the problems and get the right solutions and understand. So that's the goal, and ultimately the Fed will face some type of public backlash. When that day comes is anybody's guess. It could be a long time from now, it could be a short time from now. But the goal is to educate people so they want sound money, they understand the problem, and then finally the Fed will be gone.
Oh, wonderful. We ought to stop right there. So you're positive of that. You'll guarantee it, won't you? Well, in a way, we can. If we continue to do what we're doing now, there are some things that you could almost guarantee. Well, one thing is, if the central bank is permitted to permit money at will and to cover all government debt, you can assume that the value of the currency is going to go down and prices will go up. That's not real complicated. The answers are not confusing. The founders are on the right track. They knew what honest money was about. We should follow the path of the money and recognize that creating money does not create wealth. Productivity creates wealth, and that's a different story. In freedom, you have the maximum amount of productivity and the maximum amount of prosperity.
We talked the other day about the correlation between the S&P 500 hitting new all-time highs at the same time that money is being printed. And it's kind of a misleading concept that people think that it's not actually the S&P 500 doing well, it's actually the dollar doing bad, because they're printing it off and they're injecting that money into the S&P 500, right? So that is kind of like artificially, inflating the market, right? And it makes people think that the economy is doing well when it's actually not, right? Printing money is never good for the economy in the long run. So yeah, we touched on that the other day. Check this out, guys. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF is officially bigger than its gold ETF. $32.2 billion assets in just 10 months. Holy crap. Their Bitcoin ETF is officially larger than their gold ETF, guys. Let that sink in. That's where we're going, guys. I just got off the phone with my father before I went on this stream, and he was asking me, he called me up, we were talking, and he was asking me about whether it was a good idea for him to just start buying spot Bitcoin ETF. And I said, yes, it is, but not now. I would wait until the bear market to start doing it. I would just save up money from now and then start buying it. So like people are asking. My dad told me his neighbor came up to him and asked him, should I buy some of that Bitcoin? My dad was like, I don't know anything about it. I'll talk to my son, right? So, it's starting to catch people's attention right now, guys. Make no mistake about it. Retail's not here yet, but they are starting to go, huh? What's going on over there with that Bitcoin, right? When your parents' neighbors start asking your parents if it's a good idea to buy Bitcoin, word's starting to spread, right? Liquidation alert. $426 million worth of Ethereum shorts will get liquidated if Ethereum hits $3,300, guys. So we need to keep an eye on Ethereum. If that happens, the price of Ethereum is going to boom. We're going to see a massive short squeeze, which could cause a lot of the ERC20 tokens to start to run with it. So very, very bullish there. Let's get into one of these articles, guys. I got some Caspa news for you guys. Beebs, I'm looking at you, brother. Caspa's listing on major exchanges. Here's why timing is key. Analyst Gala lately shared insights into Caspa's potential listing on tier 1 exchanges, such as Binance and Coinbase. His observations pointed to behind-the-scenes buying strategies and strategic timing aimed at maximizing returns. The analyst explains how major exchanges might be preparing for a favorable listing opportunity, drawing attention to Caspa's unique market position and the role of OTC purchases. Takala suggests that Tier 1 exchanges seeking to list Caspa likely acquire significant quantities of the coin OTC to ensure liquidity and avoid shifting public prices. By buying large volumes at the discount of 20 to 30% compared to market prices, exchanges minimize visibility and price fluctuations typically seen with retail transactions. So they're buying Caspa OTC to avoid affecting the price of Caspa so that they can build up a reserve so that they can list it, right? According to Gala, this may explain why Caspa has maintained a stable price around 11 cents, as these bulk acquisitions do not directly influence exchange prices. Instead, OTC purchases allow big players to accumulate without impacting the coin's immediate market value. Strategic timing and bullish market conditions. Exchanges aim to list assets at optimal times to ensure profitability. Takala highlights that exchanges like Binance and Coinbase would prefer to list Caspa when market conditions are bullish, enabling them to sell their holdings to the public at a profit. Given recent economic uncertainties, the events such as the U.S. election, exchanges may have delayed listing plans. However, should economic prospects brighten under new administration policies, bullish market momentum could become more likely, setting the stage for a well-timed listing. And here's the thing, guys, to piggyback off of that, there's something especially you guys in the United States need to be aware of, and that is with a new administration and a crypto-friendly SEC, this is going to lead to a lot more centralized exchanges and swaps making their way into your states where you live, where you will be able to use them. I know that by talking to you guys, a lot of you guys have trouble because you can't use KuCoin or you can't use LBank or whatever because of where you live in the States. Well, with a crypto-friendly administration and a crypto-friendly SEC, you're going to start to see these more of these centralized exchanges coming into your areas where you live, where you will be able to operate them now. That is another massive perk because it gives you access to far more tokens that the current exchanges that you can use right now, the limited exchanges you can use, might be limited in which coins can be listed or you can have access to because they're not listed, right? So this is a very big deal for you guys in the United States, in my opinion. Moving forward, into Kala's view, KASPA presents a rare investment opportunity for exchanges. With its strong fundamentals and rapid development trajectory, KASPA offers substantial potential compared to many other projects. This uniqueness may prompt Tier 1 exchanges to capitalize on the project when conditions align, offering substantial returns. By waiting for the perfect moment to list KASPA, exchanges could maximize gains, leveraging the prospect's momentum for revenue. And you may not, I know you may not believe that, guys, but I literally watched that happen last bull run with Shiba Inu, right? These exchanges strategically listed it as the momentum continued to build to the upside, and they waited and they waited and they waited until the narrative was strong enough, and then they did it, right? So that does actually happen in crypto. All right, what else do we got? Yahoo Finance. Last time he was in office talking about Trump, there was a lot of volatility in the markets. Let's listen in.
Yeah, you know, like last time he was in office, there was a lot of volatility. It was tariffs and export control, all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, and I remember just waking up every morning and having to check Twitter to see what the policy of the day was, and so we'll probably have a return to that, I suppose. There's a number of areas where I think Trump is probably going to have an impact. One is certainly tariffs, and we can talk about the implications of those. One is the CHIPS Act, because it does sound like at least the Republicans maybe have a different vision for what that ought to be. And we clearly have companies now that are sort of scrambling to try to get their agreements, like under the current administration with the CHIPS Act, finalized before the change in the administration happens. So there's a lot of things that he can do beyond just sort of the general volatility around the economy and everything else, both in the U.S. and globally, that is likely to increase under a Trump administration.
It's interesting because, I mean, listen, we're all sort of taking our best guesses here, you know, but when I read the research from analysts who are paid to give advice about this sort of topics, the way they've kind of framed it is, well, you know, Harris, she would have just basically followed Biden's approach to export controls, and you know that investors would have liked it, but they would have roughly understood it, and they would have considered it kind of manageable. These same analysts now think, well, actually, their bet would be that Trump advisors are in his ear pushing pretty hard for decoupling from China as a priority, kind of regardless of U.S. company impact. I mean, if that's the framework, you know, what would that actually mean for your coverage universe?
Well, look, it's stuff like semis are one of the most global industries, right? So I think a full decoupling, like completely, is let's call it difficult. I mean, I'll hesitate to use the word impossible, but it's very, very difficult. But clearly, even from the first Trump term, like that was where they were trying to go. The actions that the Biden administration took, I would say, were more surgical. Right, they went after specific things. They went after high-end AI chips. They went after semiconductor equipment for advanced logic and memory, but they weren't really trying to necessarily blow everything up. Right, it was manageable. With Trump, I mean, look, he's more like a bull in a china shop. He could do all kinds of stuff. We've heard like the same thing you have. You know, 60% tariffs on everything that comes from China. I mean, like it's clearly that would have massive implications both in and out of semis. I would say the tariff question, like just to isolate on that, like there's not a lot of direct impact for semis on tariffs. The actual trade in raw semiconductors between China and the U.S. is very, very small. It's only a few $1 billion out of a $500 or $600 billion industry. It's not that big. What you find is that most semiconductors travel between China and the U.S. inside other things. inside smartphones and PCs and TVs and cars and everything else. And so it's almost like a secondary kind of thing. Like if he puts massive tariffs on to make it up on smartphones and PCs, that's going to raise the price of those products in their end markets. And is that going to reduce demand? And that will certainly roll down to the semiconductors. But tariffs by themselves don't have much of a direct impact, just because we don't really import like raw chips from China. Only very, very small amounts of them.
Let me ask you, those export controls from the Biden administration, can we quantify the impact those had on the companies you cover?
Yes, and I mean, so the semicap guys quantified it. They were missing, I'll call it several $1 billion of revenue. Now, as it turns out, at least on the equipment side, because China was cut off from the advanced stuff, they doubled and tripled down on the trailing nodes, on the older generation. And so, in fact, sales to China of the equipment sales to China like skyrocketed. But the mix shifted, right? Like they weren't buying any more leading edge, and they bought a lot more trailing node, lagging edge than they ordinarily would. And so at the end of the day, I think China proved to be a positive rather than a negative for the semi-caps. But there was several $1 billion of leading edge that they would have shipped that they couldn't. NVIDIA talked about this as well. I mean, they didn't exactly quantify, but I'm sure, they're still probably doing 10 billion plus in sales to China. It probably would have been a lot more than that, just given what we're seeing in the general growth and uptake of artificial intelligence from them. So clearly it would have been a lot more. But the general trends that have been driving these were strong enough at this point to, I think, overpower the issues from China. And it wasn't like an absolute headwind for most of these guys in the grand scheme of things once push came to shove.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, NVIDIA developed purpose-built chips that were not quite as advanced for the market.
Yeah, and they went through several rounds of that, by the way. They developed some, and they were okay to ship that for a year, and then the sanctions were tightened, so they couldn't sell those, and so now they've developed new ones. And I mean, you keep doing that. There's always workarounds for these things, but it gets harder and harder to do as these things get tighter and tighter. I would say though, like I said, the Biden sanctions were targeted. They really were. They did their best, I think, to say these are the areas of risk. We want to try to constrain that as much as possible without like universally constraining everything. I'm not sure Trump will be that a Trump administration will be quite as nuanced, but I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will. I want to talk a little bit more about the CHIPS Act, and in particular, a company like an Intel, right, that is trying to build in the United States. It seems to me, from what I understand, that some of the Republican opposition to the CHIPS Act is not necessarily to companies building in the U.S. It's more sort of the conditions that the Biden administration placed on some of that construction. Does it have to be a diverse construction company with a certain percentage, for example? So I guess what I'm asking is, do you still see a path forward that things will get built? Maybe some of those conditions will be changed.
Again, they would have to pass new legislation. So it's not. I don't believe that Trump could just like by fiat change these. This is an act of Congress, but I mean, Republicans may control that too, so he may be able to influence where that goes. But I think you'll need a legislative change. I will say though, you're right. There was a lot of extraneous stuff that was put into the CHIPS Act, and it was things like diversity and on-site childcare and all sorts of things. And by the way, I think very noble goals, nothing wrong with it. But at the same time, if the ultimate goal was to get capacity built here as quickly as possible, maybe it would have been better not to deal with that. I actually personally think that the investment tax credit was a much better way to go. And the reason is like with the bespoke grants, you have to file an application. It goes back and forth. Most of the companies, even who have gotten awards, it's still preliminary. They haven't finalized it yet. The tax credit is much easier. You build in the U.S., you spend qualified dollars in the U.S., you file your taxes, and you get 25% of it back. There's no grant application or anything else you have to do. It's just all on the taxes. So I actually think it was a much better way to get money to where it needed to go with a lot less red tape. And it's actually bigger. The tax credit was 25%. I think the grants, it varies, but roughly 10% of the project spend was the grant. So the tax credit's actually bigger. Maybe we'll see more of that, or maybe you do more of it that way. That might be better in the long term.
I feel like I'm the shrug emoji at many points.
I'm the shrug emoji. Well, I think a lot of people are blowing the whole tariffs situation kind of out of proportion, making it a bigger deal than it is. They're thinking that it's more of a negotiating tactic from my perspective than anything else. And when we're talking about semiconductor chips and stuff like that coming into the States, I mean, we're also talking about companies like Jasmy at that point, right? So very, very important to kind of pay attention to, guys. What do we got here? Bitcoin hits 77K all-time high as institutional demand surges. On November 8th, yesterday, the price of Bitcoin hit its highest price for the third time since the U.S. election, soaring to $77,239. The cryptocurrency has achieved a significant milestone, rising 10.07% over the past week. The asset's 24-hour trading volume is $42.42 billion, highlights sustained investor interest. Although it dropped by a marginal 0.83% from its peak, Bitcoin's price still spiked by 0.83% in the last 24 hours, indicating that the market isn't done with the bullish sentiment yet. Interesting activity is shown by the data from Bitcoin's derivatives markets. Per Glassnode, in the past 48 hours, Bitcoin has liquidated large amounts of positions necessary to maintain the current bullish trend. Further, trades have gone down 13.53%, reduced to 60.33 billion. In contrast, open interest increased modestly by 0.50% to 46.83 billion, indicating continued market participant engagement. Options volume also dropped by 30.75% as options open interest increased by 1.72%. So we are not done yet, guys. We are not done yet. Let's get into another article here. What do we got? Golden chart, Bitcoin understanding key patterns and predictions for Bitcoin. Golden chart Bitcoin. So we got Bitcoin, the world's first and most prominent cryptocurrency, often experiences significant price volatility. However, over time, analysts have identified certain chart patterns that can help predict Bitcoin's price trends. And one of the most notable among them is the golden chart, known as a critical chart pattern. The golden chart for Bitcoin uses specific indicators to highlight moments of potential growth or downturn. The golden chart can reveal insights into market sentiments and help investors make more informed decisions. What is the golden chart in the Bitcoin analysis? The golden chart in cryptocurrency and stock trading typically refers to the golden cross patterns on a chart. Now, we talk about these signals over on the Patreon, guys. We've done many videos over there talking about the death cross and how it's a lagging indicator. We've talked about the golden cross. If you want to learn more about TA, get over to the Patreon, guys. The pattern occurs when the short-term moving average crosses above the long-term moving average, indicating a potential upward trend. So let's say the 30-day moves above the 100-day, right? Indicating a potential upward trend. In the context of Bitcoin, the golden chart represents a favorable technical indicator that historically precedes price increases. Investors and analysts closely monitor this chart pattern as a sign of momentum, often interpreting as a buying opportunity. In Bitcoin trading, the golden chart commonly uses the 50-day and the 200-day moving averages. When the 50-day crosses above I already said that. So if the 50-day moves above the 100-day or the 200-day, that's a golden cross, right? The golden chart serves as a valuable tool for understanding market sentiment and potential price movements because Bitcoin's price can be influenced by the multitude of factors from market cycles to investor sentiment and macroeconomic changes. The golden chart provides an additional layer of data-backed insights. Key reasons why the golden chart is watched by Bitcoin investors. Indicator of long-term trend shifts. The golden cross pattern typically points to a shift in long-term market sentiment from bearish to bullish. In Bitcoin's volatile market, this signal can offer a reassurance to investors and potentially prevent premature selling. Historical accuracy. Historical data shows that Bitcoin's golden cross often leads to price rallies, making it a compelling tool for investors. However, it's worth noting that while the past performance provides insights, it does not guarantee future results. Guides entry and exit points as well. For traders, knowing when to enter or exit the market is essential. The golden chart offers a practical tool to identify these points. The golden cross suggests a buying opportunity, while the death cross may signal an exit. That's not true with the with the exit in terms of the death cross. The death cross generally appears as a lagging indicator, which means that when you see a death cross on a chart, most of the time it's indicating a drop that's already happened, right? So to see a death cross and say, oh, maybe I should sell, probably not, because it's representing a drop that you've already suffered through, right? Not one that's actually coming up ahead. So yes. To understand the golden chart implications, it's essential to grasp the basics of moving averages and their roles in Bitcoin price analysis. So we talk about the moving averages over on the Patreon. So if you want to know more about that, jump over there and we will walk you through it. Guys, check this video out. TradFi analysts cannot comprehend MicroStrategy. Quote, I listened to their earnings call and thought, what in the world are they doing? Are they talking about? Check this out. It's always funny watching TradFi guys trying to figure out crypto.
It's quarter season, and I listened to the MicroStrategy call, and it was wild.
You were slacking us about this the other day, and credit to you for listening to this, because I wouldn't have done it.
It was, yeah, I was watching Sunday Night Football on mute, listening to Michael Saylor and Robin's like, what are you listening to? I was like, go upstairs. So, all right, so the company, the actual software business, which is really a sideshow, lost $18.5 million in the most recent quarter, which again, totally irrelevant. I just thought it was interesting. So in their slide, in their deck, they show the Bitcoin holdings since they implemented the strategy in the third quarter of 2020. It went from 38,000 up to 250,000 Bitcoin today. Kind of wild. But here's the thing, Ben. They call this intelligent leverage. And they talk about they call it is it a Bitcoin yield? Is that what they call it? So they say that the total Bitcoin has increased 33% year over year, while diluted shares outstanding was only up 13%. So they're issuing shares to buy more Bitcoin. More shares, more Bitcoin, more shares, more Bitcoin. So they say our track record, this is from Andrew Kang, who's the CFO. He said, our track record of using equity, debt, and excess cash to acquire Bitcoin as part of our treasury operations has resulted in value creation for our shareholders and establishes the foundation to execute on our 21 capital plan, which is 21 billion in debt and equity. And that's because it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the number 42, whatever, to buy more Bitcoin. So our objective continues to be to accumulate Bitcoin holdings at a faster rate than we issue shares. And we have demonstrated a solid track record of doing so. To assess our performance in achieving this strategic objective, we introduced a new key performance indicator last quarter, which we refer to as BTC yield. We define BTC yield as a period-to-period percentage change in the ratio of our total Bitcoin holdings to our assumed diluted shares outstanding. We use this KPI to help assess the achievement of our strategic objective and to evaluate capital allocation decisions. If we increase our total Bitcoin holdings over a given period at a faster pace than we increase our assumed diluted shares outstanding, we achieve a positive BTC yield. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking
this is very Galaxy brain.
The John Riley, like what in the world are they talking about? However,
to their credit, their stock is going nuts.
However, listen, it's working. Okay, so I'm confused. I don't get it. Maybe you don't get it. And not to be too results oriented, but in this case, I have to tip my cap because they had a plan and they executed the plan and it worked. So MicroStrategy over the last 4 years annualized is up 105%. Bitcoin's up 53%. Mag 7, 28%, 14% for the S&P 500. Some more slides from the deck. It's beaten every company in the S&P 500 since they adopted the Bitcoin strategy by.
Look at this, guys. MicroStrategy, simply by adding Bitcoin to its balance sheets and continuing to DCA, has outperformed literally everything. Everything.
A lot.
In 2020, yeah.
It's up almost 2,000%. So Michael Saylor said, the more capital we gather, the more powerful we become, and the more we enrich our own shareholders. It's totally counterintuitive because everybody else in the world thinks if you sell equity, you dilute the shareholders.
So you see Microsoft shareholders right now are watching this happen with MicroStrategy, and they have to vote on December 9th on whether they want Microsoft to hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets as well, right? What do you think they're going to vote witnessing this happening right now?
It's true if you don't have a use of proceeds that grows faster and yields more than the S&P 500. The cost of capital is the S&P 500. Later, he says, MicroStrategy has pioneered this by combining capital markets activity with Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. With the embrace of BTC yield, and the BTC yield shows that, in fact, we acquired the capital in a manner that was accretive to our shareholders as opposed to dilutive. And that means when we're actually engaging in capital markets activity, we're doing it in an accretive velocity fashion. So it sounds like a pyramid, a Ponzi on top of a pyramid. But
it works until it doesn't. It works until Bitcoin crashes, right?
So this is all right. Here's the final word for Michael Saylor from me. He said Bitcoin is growing 50%. We don't know what it will do in the future, but my personal long-term view is over 21 years, Bitcoin is going to grow 29% ARR. So that would mean, I did some math here, Ben. That would mean that Bitcoin will be at $14 million a coin, and it would have a 281. And I know there's like coins coming to market, so this is not exact. $281 trillion market cap, which sounds like a lot of money. Sounds like, is that more than all the assets in the world?
Here's a stance for you. I don't believe this prediction.
There you go. There you go.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that. I'm guessing that's not going to happen.
Yeah, just really fascinating. Like the largest ATM equity issuance in the history of capital markets is being used by Michael Saylor to buy Bitcoin.
I would think if Bitcoin grows at 10% per year over the next 21 years, you should be pretty happy. If it just equates to long-term stock market averages, I think that would be happy as a crypto person.
It's wild.
I love when TradFi guys say something. Let me tell you something. The same type of TradFi guys were saying the same thing about Bitcoin in 2011, 2012, 2013, all the way up to 2024. They've always said the same thing. And yet, they've been wrong every single time, right? What does that tell you? What else do we got here? We got Bitwise CEO says $22 billion in inflows into the ETFs is just the beginning.
These ETFs in a limited sense. Before I came to Bitwise 6.5 years ago, I was the CEO of ETF.com. So this is my neck of the woods. The thing that crypto should realize about ETFs is they are multi-year stories. If you look back at the gold ETF, which when it launched was the most successful ETF launch of all time, year 2 had more flows than year 1, year 3 more than year 2, year 4 more than year 3 for 8 straight years. I actually think the same thing is going to happen for Bitcoin ETFs. Yes, this was a record year, the most successful ETF launch of all time. Maybe we'll get $20+ billion of assets into these ETFs in year 1. That's amazing. I bet you year 2 is bigger, and I bet you year 3 is bigger. ETFs are a 5 to 10 year journey to maturity. So we're still really at the earliest stage.
Next year is going to be even bigger than this year in terms of the ETF production, guys. Absolutely phenomenal. What do we got here? Hester Pierce, pro-Bitcoin SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce wants to lead a crypto task force to reevaluate the agency's approach to the industry. Winds of change are coming, you guys. Here's a little ditty from Charles Hoskinson, guys, when he testified in front of Congress. Now, some of you were not here in the last bull run, but he was testifying in front of Congress, trying to help them understand crypto, right?
You know, when you look at cryptocurrencies in general, I've always viewed them like financial stem cells. They're kind of more fundamental than a particular category like a currency or a commodity. And really, it depends on the markets they're traded on and the use and utility that they have. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what public policy considerations are you attempting to satisfy? Is it sanctions compliance? Is it consumer protection? Is it market stability? What we do as an industry is we're all about transparency. So it's kind of funny, we're talking and debating about disclosure regimes. There's no other financial asset in the world that really is as transparent as a cryptocurrency. Every transaction from the very beginning for Bitcoin, for example, from January 3rd, 2009 is known. Every single one, the holdings of the founder are known because all of these things are publicly available to everybody. So it's more about, in my view, understandability and the tooling required to make this work on a global basis. So I don't think it would be wise to say, well, is it a security or a commodity, or fall into this temptation of who's the more permissive regulator or what is the regulatory arbitrage, but rather just take a step back and say, what things do we want to guard against? And we now have 13 years of history as an industry of, I think, 6 or 7 collapses, a whole bunch of interesting new things like NFTs that have always pushed the limit, and a global marketplace with more than 100 million people floating around that we can draw from, and we can look on a case-by-case basis and build a framework that makes sense. What's encouraging to me as an entrepreneur, briefly, is that there's a lot of great legislation that's been proposed recently, like the DCA, the FIA. There's executive orders that have come through that are trying to force clarity amongst the executive branch. So these things together create a global dialogue, and if we're clever about it, I think we can converge to a reasonable compromise that we as an industry can live with and continue to be competitive with.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It's a fantastic argument to have in front of Congress. Like he absolutely nailed that, guys. He absolutely nailed it. We got a little bit more from the Algorand Foundation. Thanks, MasterCard, Algo Wallet. You'll soon be able to use Algorand debit cards in your everyday life, guys. So the other day we covered DeFi staking on Algorand. Now we're covering being able to utilize an Algorand MasterCard anywhere in the world that accepts MasterCard.
So actually, let me take a moment and just talk a little bit about Immersive, right? So Immersive is, they're a fintech company. They are in the payments flow. They're considered an issuer. So they are a principal partner for MasterCard, the network, and they can issue cards on behalf of MasterCard. And so in this case, we are partnering with them. Para is partnering with them to launch a Para debit card, so we can issue a debit card to Para users via Immersive. Immersive, actually, if you think about sort of what payments in this context means, is somebody uses a card with a merchant. The merchant / acquirer then sends that transaction to the issuing bank, in this case, Immersive, via the MasterCard network. Immersive validates that this card is real, that this person is real, that there's enough funds in this card, and then approves it. And when that gets approved, it comes back to the MasterCard network, to the acquirer merchant, and it says accept, right? And so that's kind of the flow, and that's kind of how Immersive plays into it. And so when, in that process, it is so important for Immersive to know that there is enough funds in this card, and they actually have an implementation on Algorand where they're able to check that balance on chain because of our instant finality, to be able to say, okay, Min does have 10 USDC in her wallet in this card that she can pay for an $8 boba iced tea. So I think that's like such an important sort of feature of Algorand, that a network like Immersive that was building on Ethereum, is building on Polygon, is actually able to build an on-chain implementation of its debit card offering. And I think that's it's kind of an amazing opportunity for us.
Guys, very, very bullish on Algorand. I actually have an Algorand video coming out later today, so make sure you check that out. It's very informative video, guys. big things coming out of the Algorand Foundation. So definitely do not miss that video. Going back over to the Jasmy charts. Let's go back to the daily time frame. All right. All right, here we go. So let's get into the chat now, see what everybody's talking about. All right, so what do we got? Danny, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Jason's in the house. Good to see you. Guys, please make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and it would mean a lot to me. Jetpack, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Big Kev's in the house. What's up, man? Sun is hot. William, I knew I could count on you, brother. I knew I could count on you. Tomatoes, went to watch Paddington Bear at the cinema, came out, and Spell Tokens doing awesome. Nice. Yeah, Spell's having a good day. Spell is having a great day. Still up 21% on Spell. Beebs, what's up, buddy? Propy, yes, Propy's moonshotting. I did some coverage of Caspa today, too, for you, brother. Hopefully you caught that. Sui is going on a ripper. Is Sui ripping, too? Where's Sui? I don't see Sui ripping. Sui, oh yeah, it's up 13.8%. You're right. You are right. WF Capital bought more than this AM. Nice. Miria, perfect. Awesome. So it's hot. There's some fears going around about leaving the market early at 10 to 50 cents instead of their preferred price of $1. Would you say that stems from the fact that they're not holding a big enough bag? No. I think that's smart. Here's the thing, Son, over on the Patreon, I talk a lot about front running the market, right? And you have to be able to identify where liquidity is in the market. And because if you think you're holding something like Jasmy, for example, if that's what you're referring to, if you think you're holding Jasmy to $1 and you're holding 5, 10, whatever, 3 million tokens, and you think that there's somebody out there that's going to be purchasing 1 million of your tokens for $1 or 5 million tokens of you're selling, there's not going to be any liquidity up there for you, right? And that's the big mistake a lot of people that are beginners to the market make. They're like, I'm just going to hold it all till $1 and sell it at $1. Well, who are you selling it to? Because the exchanges are not the ones buying your stuff, right? They're just an intermediary. I know it feels like you're selling to them because they're a middleman and you don't see the other person, but the exchange is not buying your Jasmy back at $1, right? That's not how it works. There has to be a buyer on the other end that's purchasing. I know that you probably know this. I'm just speaking in generalities here, so it's hot for everybody. But, you know, that's the thing a lot of people are missing in this, and that's why I try to encourage people to get over to the Patreon and join the community, because we talk about these things. We identify targets where there's liquidity, exit price points, and selling points where there's going to be liquidity so that you can actually take your profits out successfully and get paid. Because if you're trying to sell everything at $1 and you put your sell targets at $1, even if it hits that dollar, right, there might not be any buy orders up there and you're just going to wick back down. Your sell order is not going to fill, and then you walk away with nothing except holding your tokens through another bear market, right? So you have to, if you don't have experience in this market, I promise you, if you think that that's what's going to happen, that the exchange is going to buy your tokens back, and you're going to be able to just get out at $1, it doesn't matter what token it is, you're going to get out at the top, it's not going to happen. So get over to the Patreon and get in there and join our exit strategies, join our exit plans, right? You're going to need them. Siga, yo, Rob, what's up, bro? What's up, chat? Jasmy to the moon. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Squirt Reynolds, hey, Rob, do you know if any, if you can stake XCN on other chains? It looks like it could be possible to stake on Polygon network. Not that I know of. I've never, I'll talk to Wes about it and see what he comes up with, but I haven't heard of anything like that. If someone's holding 1 million Jasmy, they might be able to get to 300 to 500K in profit if they sell at 10, which might be low numbers for them. Your thoughts? Yeah, well, I kind of already touched on that, but hopefully I explained my position well enough for you, brother. William, no, I'm not ready. Balaclava man, boom, boom. When Gary gets removed, I bet crypto will have a good pump. Oh, that's going to be like the catalyst of all catalysts, man. Absolutely. It's going to be a moonshot. Chris, did you get lucky? Sorry, we did just get lucky with the Trump presidential election. Yeah, that's true. Gala in the news, huh? Yeah. Making a second token. Do you think Bitcoin will hit 80K? Oh yeah, I think it'll hit 80K soon, very soon, man. It's only it's only $3,700 away from 80K. Del Boy, what's up, man? How did you get so lucky? Well, it's easy. I watch Crypto Future. Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. Raul Black, nice. Afternoon, gentlemen. What's up, Volks? What's going on, man? What's going on, buddy? I identify as a gentlewoman. Dennis, would it be a good idea to cash in my original stake as soon as it doubles, then let the profit accumulate and take profits accordingly? It depends on whether something is a long-term hold or a short-term hold, right? I know a lot of people on short-term holds or whatever, they'll take their initial investment out when it doubles, and then they'll just hold the rest for a moon bag for sure, but not with your long-term holdings. I don't do that. Stargazer, is it possible for Crow to near $100? Maybe not this bull run, but bull runs from now. I would say maybe, honestly, maybe 3 bull runs from now, it might be possible. Depends, because Crow's probably going to get a little over $1 this time around, right? So then maybe the following bull run, who knows? Maybe it's able to reach the likes of $7 to $12 or something, and then, you know, if it continues to grow, the community is fairly big. So I mean, maybe one day, but that's long time from now. Can you give me an idea of a Velo price prediction? I don't really have a Velo price prediction. Let me go look at what Velo is doing right now. I missed the L, Velo. I mean, the all-time high was like $2.29. I honestly, I don't think it's going to make it back to its all-time high this time around. I'm pretty sure that they watered down the supply and circulation. They're going to need a couple of major centralized exchange listings. Like, they don't have any Binance, they don't have any KuCoin, or sorry, KuCoin. They don't have any Coinbase, right? So maybe with some more tier 1 listings, they might be able to get back to their all-time high. But I don't know. Right now, honestly, I wouldn't target any higher than about 80 cents to $1. That's where I would kind of be targeting. If you can get a couple of centralized listings, right? Yeah, Velo is a good project. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely they are, right? They just have a long way to go to get back to the all-time high, right? I would say $100 for Crow, all-time high, only 96 cents. Homes in the house. Jovan, hey Rob, a one-on-one soon, please. Off on Tuesday. Hey man, Jovan, what's your handle over on the Patreon? Let me know, and shoot me a message over on the Patreon. I might be able to squeeze you in tonight for a one-on-one if you want. What he's talking about, guys, you can schedule one-on-one Zoom calls with me if you're a member of the Patreon. So get over there and schedule your one-on-one with me, and I can help you out with your portfolio and everything else, right? So yeah, make it happen, guys. Make it happen. The link is in the chat. It's in the description. Crow ETF and burn 2025 will take Crow to new heights, depending on how much the devs burn Crow. I don't think, honestly, Kendall, I like Crow, but listen, and this isn't a knock on Crow when I say this, I don't think projects like Crow are going to get an ETF. I think that they will be included, now hear me out on this, I think they'll be included in ETF baskets, right? And the reason I say that is because the SEC is not going to be able to go through every single individual altcoin to determine whether it should have an ETF or not, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to set a criteria where projects need to qualify and meet certain criteria, which Crow would meet the criteria, right? A utility-based token. and they will be put into ETF baskets. Like we're starting to see applications of ETF baskets from Grayscale right now, right? We're already seeing the beginnings of that happening, because it would take something like 10,000 years for the SEC to go through every single crypto altcoin and determine whether it qualifies for an ETF or not, right? So, but I think a project like Crow would definitely qualify to be in an ETF basket for sure. They want to compete with the likes of BNB on a yes, and I think that they should. They should want to compete with BNB for sure, because that's what they do, right? They're very similar tokens. So I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they, you know, I would argue that they already do compete with BNB in terms of community, right? I think that Crow has a much larger and loyal community than BNB does. BNB has a community, but not one that's really, you know, pushing the project or anything. So Crypto Homes, I hope it happens. Yes. Dominic, what's up, buddy? Jasmy, 12-cent minimum by the end of 2024. That'd be epic. D-Mac, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Long time no see indeed, brother. Volt is doing extremely great for a couple of days. Yeah, I know that Bleaves, my buddy Bleaves, covers Volt Inu a lot. He really likes it. Beeves, Rob, did you see Coinbase Derivatives is launching silver and stellar futures on November 1st? No, I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm surprised Max hasn't talked about it yet. Moonwell looks like a nice play on base. Moonwell definitely is a nice play on base. I agree with you there, Beebs. I agree with you there. David, time is money. Absolutely, brother. I know this is old, but I see Grayscale is interested in Caspa. Yes, it is on their list of Caspa is on Grayscale's list of assets they're considering holding. Yes, I did see that. What do you think the end of this parabolic? What do you think the end of this? Like, are you asking when? I think that the top of the market is going to be sometime between the middle of September and the middle of October of next year. That's where I'm targeting. So yeah. All right, guys. So listen, that's the news for the morning. I got to get to the gym. I got to get in a solid leg workout. I will be back this evening, 8 o'clock Central, for the evening live stream. I will be here for that. Guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Get over to the Patreon. We will be doing a group Zoom call over on the Patreon this evening as well. So I will be live over on the Patreon. Do not miss out on that, guys. You can also book your one-on-one coaching sessions with me over there. If you need help with your portfolio, if you need help with your exit strategies, if you need help understanding anything when it comes to crypto, taxes, self-custody, anything at all, get over there, join the conversation. And I will see you guys tonight. I'll see you guys tonight over on the Patreon. And Kindle says, do not forget to leave and like and subscribe. Yes, thank you so much, Kindle. I appreciate you, my friend. All right, I'll see you guys tonight.